Hello everyone and welcome to Moonride, where we're channeling the man in the moon. Lately, a lot of people have been asking about my shamanic readings. One thing that happens in the shamanic reading is people are meeting their own guides. I just set up a process where you meet your guides and your guards. Another thing that might happen is a healer. You go and you see your healer. I want to emphasize that in this work, I just set it up. The work is really being done by the people who have asked for this service. It's really you doing the work if you choose to do so. And keep in mind, you don't really need a shaman to lead you in this direction. You can do it on your own. I'm just given a little bit of a sort of place for you to do it. If you are interested in such readings, which I have to say are really going well, every day they just seem to get stronger and better. If that is your interest, just take a look at my website and you can book a shamanic reading with me. It might take several different forms as we talk about it, but I'm really excited about the work. Also, today I'm really getting a Christ feeling, and to all of those who are not necessarily religious, you do not need to have this be part of any particular religion. Christ does not discriminate against anyone. The feeling and experience is one of no prejudice, no bias, no judging. It's completely open to everyone. It doesn't matter where you're from or your gender. And all of us can get there. Try to get to a place where you don't judge others, you don't judge yourself, and you just love. That's basically it. But Christ has been telling me he's got a message, so I'm just going to share what he says. So, all right, and I'll tell you, these days when I do this work, I kind of find a doorway to walk through, and then I cross a little river, and I see who's on the other side. This is a little similar to what I do when I work with people doing shamanic work. Okay. It's across this river, Christ is there, and he's showing me these really beautiful golden mountains, sort of space, like almost like a space to walk between them, which is what I'm doing. It's funny because it's sort of like he wants to emphasize this act of climbing. It's work. It's not passive. I am really, following into this sort of other place, and I just want people to notice that because, it might be something about our present circumstances. It's like a journey, a difficult journey. But when you get to the top to see the sunset, that's the message I get from this too, because the sunset is showing me this beautiful, extensive valley. Look, I'm being shown we're like a third of the way up this mountain. There'll be another 2/3 that we have to go through. Don't give up hope. It's just on the other side of the mountain is, once we get to the top, we'll see a completely new perspective and a new world. Right now we're only seeing this world, but when we get to the top, it will be it will be a revelation. Do your best. Don't give up hope. So guys, maybe you can tell us what people should do while they're climbing the mountain. And I always see this sort of knitting, and I'm starting to get the feeling like knitting is these things coming together. Like imagine two people coming together and creating something new. We're all coming together and sort of weaving, again, this new society. Do your best to do this weaving yourself. And that could just be simple things like the people around you and how you sort of rework your relationships and your values. Everybody's being compelled to stay at home and think about things and be in relationships with others. Christ is telling me too that everyone's open to this. You can ask him. You can ask the spirit of sort of non-judgment You could put different clothing. It could be a different person for you. If you're an atheist, it could just be the idea of love or something. Makes no difference. You can call this energy in yourself when you need it. What else should we do? You know what? The one thing I see from the top of this mountain is a sunset. The old way of life is setting. There's a change. Night has fallen. We don't know what's happening next because it's a new era is upon us, and the transition's going to be tough. But if you keep going and you just keep your eyes open and you keep understanding there is a change afoot. It's a dramatic change. Dramatic changes don't happen easily. They cause big changes, and that's what's going on right now. Mm. It might be that people have to consider the things that they don't need anymore. I'm seeing like a pile of money and then $1. And it's kind of like, well, do you really need all that money? Maybe just $1 is going to be enough. For many people, that's going to be a reality. Can you accept this? And you just accept that maybe the lifestyle you were leading before was not really rooted to the earth. Can you just accept that and say, okay, this is the way I have to learn right now, is just to be very, very frugal and consider what I need. There are going to be some people who have money, so we have to look at generosity. When and how can you be generous right now in your society if you're one of the lucky ones that does have work? How can this be done? This is a question of your soul. And how can you recognize that you're a lucky one if you are a lucky one? And if you're not a lucky one, how can you be in better relationship to consumption? He's showing me it's not going to last forever. 6 months, something's going to happen, and I wonder if the disease will just be under control in 6 months and will start opening up again. Can you tell me any more? Okay. It's so funny. These images are sometimes so funny. Never forget that Spirit has a great sense of humor. So Christ is ahead of me on an empty street. Could be New York, any downtown place. And everything's closed. It's just the two of us. And of course, Christ and I are social distancing. He's way ahead of me, like 12, 20 feet ahead of me. So he's really social distancing. But he's sort of showing me the way. And as we're walking down the empty streets, things are starting to open up again. He's saying, the timing's got to be right. Now's not the time. But when the timing is right, things will come back to normal. It's just a question of finding out next 6 months of how we're going to manage in the next 6 months. And don't give up hope. There's always a way to solve these problems. It's just a question of really, really meditating on your own and just trying to find your own solutions. Don't be bound by the past. That's the problem. If you're trying to solve the problem in the old ways, it's not going to work in the future. Open up to other possibilities and other ways of being. It might be that some of the initial endeavors don't work out. That's not the point. The point is that you try new stuff. That might be work in a political fashion, or share stuff, or work in a more communal way, or frankly, just be more frugal. We just have to watch our money. And we have to be very focused. And insofar as we're asking for change, we have to be very, very focused and unrelenting. We have to demand this change. So think of this as almost like a sword of righteousness, which we've been looking for. And that's what I see. It's like we're looking for this thing. We're looking for the sword. And now we found it. The question is how to wield it. It's still beyond our ability even to lift it up and to figure out how to wield this sword. So you might just even picture yourself holding the sword with two hands and just getting ready and sort of deciding. Remember, this is a sword of righteousness. It's not meant to harm another. It is meant to be righteous. So initially, when you move it around, it might feel really heavy. You don't really know what to do with it. but you'll get better at it and better at it. And now I'm like flipping it. I'm like flipping in the air and catching it. So it will become over time easier to understand how to relate to this particular experience that we are having right now. I do get 6 months. So something really easing up in 6 months. Psychologically, it's okay to look at yourself and say, this is what I need. I'm at home and I have these specific needs, and how can you change the routine so that it does meet your needs to be alone, for example, or your need to have certain spaces and stuff. Just work with the people around you and see if you can't create and fulfill everybody's needs. How appropriate that is right now, instead of a society which is constantly battling and where one person has to win, one person has to lose. You are in a society where it has to be a win-win or it's not going to work out. This is a great metaphor for the society we want to work in. This is where we need to go. And that's just the universe sort of proving to us that we need this. Yeah, and after the sunset, there's long dark night, and then there's the sunrise. And I do feel like the sunrise is going to happen. It has to be very bright and new, and it'll be completely a new day. Finally, Christ would just like to lead us all to one direction, and that is to a spirit of thinking of others. If you could just spend a moment now and think of all of those who have suffered under this virus, and that's not just people who got sick. It's also those workers, the doctors and nurses, grocery store workers, truck drivers, all those people who are putting their lives on the line right now. And just say a big thank you, right? These are the heroes of our society, and they're working in restaurants with masks right now, serving people who don't have masks, all right? These are the heroes of our society. Please honor that moment with me. And also, don't forget those who have passed because of the virus. There may be, those people, maybe some of them did some things wrong in their lives, and maybe they were, perfect in their lives. But all of them didn't deserve this, and the families who have to experience the loss didn't deserve it either. So spend a moment of your time. I think some of those people might have been ignorant and done foolish things. Okay, we are all ignorant, we all do foolish things, so try not to judge those who have passed, even if they did some things wrong. And just try to, for a moment, send your light and love there. If you feel like some of them did something wrong, send some forgiveness, love there. It's not the case that, we can all be these perfect, none of us can be Christ in this world. It would be almost impossible, if not impossible. But we can have Christ-like moments, okay? We can have moments of divine forgiveness. We can have moments of total acceptance where we don't judge. This isn't a place that we could or should live in all the time. That's just not realistic for a human living in a competitive society. But we can have these moments where we open that window up when it's appropriate. Again, Christ would not judge you. Do your best in these moments not to judge anyone, but just to look at their acts objectively and see them as they are, which is, in some sense, a sort of cry for help, a cry to be redeemed. And on that note, thanks for watching.